They want to make sure that you're doing your job that you were hired for. And if there's anything extra outside of that, to me, I feel like it's none of their business.
I think a lot of people work to not get fired versus working to optimize the business. Yo.
Sorry. What's up, coworkers? Welcome back to another episode.
How am I supposed to be serious?
We're not serious. You was taking too long.
I was trying to be sexy.
Seductive. Why? It's an intro.
Yo, what's up, y'all?
Anyway,
what's up, coworkers?
I am your host, Dana.
And I'm your boy, Aaron. What's up, y'all?
Welcome back to episode 41.
42?
This 41.
41? Shit.
41.
We getting there.
We are.
We about to be in season 2 about this motherfucker.
When does season 2 start?
I guess at 52.
Because usually in between seasons you take a break.
Nah, we don't take no breaks. You know,
like
we
a 2-week break.
2 weeks?
That's what seasons are for. We don't have seasons though.
Nah, we don't have seasons.
Okay.
We here for y'all all day, every day.
Yeah.
But continue the introduction.
All right, guys. Welcome back to episode 41 of the We Outside Afterwork podcast. And when it is Dolo episodes, we do like to do a check-in for me and Aaron. So this week has been crazy. So today is what? Thursday. And we've been dealing with some crazy air quality issues in New Jersey / East Coast.
Wear your mask, y'all. Wear your mask.
Wear your mask outside. The air quality index is about 200 today. It was 300 yesterday.
Yeah, I don't even use index cards, and I know that that's bad. Like, I don't.
I'm the person that's looking. I'm looking at the Weather Channel every morning.
But is that weather?
Yes, it's the weather, but it's also air quality now because we're dealing with that. But they always had the air quality thing. Now it's like at the top.
Oh, it's one of them shits that they ain't, like the heat index and the BMI and all that shit.
It's on the app.
I think the BMI is not weather, by the way. I'm sorry.
No, that's weight. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
Anyway, guys, so this started on... So actually, because I did my research. Yeah, it started here, where we started to get the remnants as far as the smoke and dust and smog and pollution in the air on the East Coast from the Canada wildfires. Their fires actually started June 2nd. Did you know that?
I don't know. I'm just going to say allegedly it came from Canada.
It's not allegedly.
Wait. Because some people are saying it's coming from Jackson, New Jersey. I don't know that to be a fact. So we're just going to preface it just in case.
If the sky is orange in New York.
I'm not telling you that you're wrong.
And if you look at the map, this is not a situation where it's alleged. These are facts, okay, guys? So the wildfires in Canada started on June 2nd, and it got worse as the days went by.
450 fires.
Exactly. And because Canada is controlled by the French, so France.
Wait, that's not true.
It is true.
Only Quebec is controlled by the French.
Either way, the French had to send 100 firefighters to help, and then their allied countries sent firefighters to help as well. So when we went outside, it was literally like you couldn't breathe. It was orange. We're wearing masks now because the air quality is crazy. I got an air purifier from Target yesterday.
You know, the worst part about this is I believe we all should have been well prepared for a situation like this.
This has never happened before.
We went through a pandemic where air quality was in question.
That's not the same because COVID was spread from people to people, and that's why we had the 6 feet.
Yeah, because it was an air thing.
It wasn't airborne though.
I think that's
but it was from people.
Yeah, through the air. Like, I can't touch you and give you COVID.
No, but I'm saying we're not going to talk
about COVID because COVID gets flagged.
The wildfire issue was our actual oxygen being polluted with small particles that can settle in your lungs and settle in your bloodstream from wildfires being so bad. Yeah. To compare wildfires and COVID-19 is not the same thing.
I'm sorry, I wasn't comparing the two. I was just saying that we should be prepared because we had the remedies in place.
People weren't prepared for COVID either.
Yeah, but we had Dr. Fauci ass told us to wear our mask
and stay inside.
That's what we need to do.
People didn't do that.
Okay, well now we know the remedy, so y'all need to listen.
And we had states that were open, like Florida. We talked about y'all a lot last episode, and y'all didn't like that. Ooh. But them in Texas was wide open.
Scared, y'all.
Georgia was wide open.
Texas. They open for everything except for abortion. That's the only thing that's closed. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate.
Listen, I'm a just nice.
But no, in all honesty, for everybody that's out there, especially for the animals, with all due respect, I know you're not watching the podcast. I feel so bad
for animals. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw outside, it was yellow and orange. Because at my job, because I was in the office 2 days a week, and it started 2 days ago. And my job has like a patio area where people will come out and just sit outside, and it's by like the woods. So you'll see like birds and like little, what are other fucking animals? Deer. No, not deer. Like the small
crocodiles.
Ones.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about animals like squirrels
not rabbits,
and shit.
Yeah, like squirrels and other little small vermin.
Vermin. You saw rats outside?
No, but those are small animals.
You work in the city?
Isn't vermin small animals?
Vermin is animals that like destroy shit, like rats.
Either way, it was small animals, and like I was just looking out the glass and just seeing like the birds and like these animals being outside in such a polluted area and oxygen and air, and I just felt so bad. I'm like, damn.
Well, I don't want to be morbid, but the animals are already in polluted air, so I don't think they can tell the difference.
But it's not as polluted as having particles that can kill you.
Yeah. And
we don't know how wildfires affect wildlife. It kills wildlife.
Yeah, I would assume that a fire would kill the wildlife, and smoke and smog, because firefighters, a lot more firefighters unfortunately pass away through smoke inhalation than they do from actual burns. So we want y'all to be really careful outside.
Shout out to the firefighters. Yvonne's a firefighter.
My brother didn't see a firefighter too, so shout out to Peterson, shout out to the firefighters out here. We appreciate the work that y'all do. Y'all are first responders, and we are the first to tell y'all that we love y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all.
All right, we still checking in?
So my other check-in, it's only been a few days, so I haven't really been doing too much besides catching up on my homework for my class.
What you studying?
The stock market.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I had a study session. Rich. Okay, we manifest that on the podcast. So, yeah, she better start making money for real. But I'm excited about it. Like, I'm not going to lie. I don't remember the last time I was excited to do homework. Like, even in college, I fucking hated writing papers. But for this, and also maybe because I paid for it. But even when I paid for the real estate course, like, I fucking dreaded those classes.
So are you passionate about the stock market?
I am.
Okay.
And I'm not necessarily passionate about the stock market as far as, like, the information and charts and stuff. But I've seen what it can do for you and how it does start generational wealth and keep it going. So when you understand like the fundamentals of how to do that, and the person who's teaching the class, her name is Tiffany James. She's a black, I think she's Jamaican. I don't know. Allegedly. But she's 29. She's my age. And she literally like changed her life to where she said on the last study session we had, she was like, this summer I'm just going to go to Europe and just see where it takes me.
Are you using Robinhood or Fidelity or any of those apps at the moment, or are you just learning? Because that's what they tell us.
What we use
Robinhood and you good.
So TD Trade, so TD Bank, they have their own trading system called
TD Ameritrade. Yep.
Yes. So they also have an application within it called Thinkorswim. So with Thinkorswim, they have it's like paper trading, but a simulation kind of thing where you're getting real data from the stock market, but you can trade options and do different things with the simulation. So you're not using your own money. So once you realize you're making money because you know what you're doing from the simulations, then you can deposit your real money, and now you're applying it with real money and making money. So
all I know, I put $50 into some Tesla stock. I don't know what that means, but Tesla's going up, so that means I'm rich.
Not $50 though.
Whatever the cost may be.
Stock for a while.
Whatever the cost may be, I'm rich. God damn it, somewhere.
Okay. I would say hold on to that. If you have Tesla stock, do not sell it.
Is it a stock or like a piece of stock, or
it depends on how you bought it? Is it an ETF of Tesla?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, what's your check-in?
My check-in is still one more week at AAU. Just trying to get through this last week. I just transferred my job, so it's.
How is that transfer?
The transfer is going amazing.
You sure?
They put, so you don't really watch sports a lot. But what I realized they do with a lot of black head coaches, when they get their first job, they put them into situations that are impossible for them to have a positive experience, right?
Like what?
So they'll have the worst team in the NFL. They'll have no quarterback. They'll expect you to draft number 1, get a great quarterback with people that's going to get them hurt, and then tell you to figure it out. That's essentially what I'm going through with my transfer.
So like, you feel like your group of people that you got,
I feel like the people are properly in place, but they have policies and procedures that just have them, like, it's an uphill battle. So the only way I could come in and really change the culture is I got to piss people off. Like, I gotta say,
you gotta,
hey,
like, bend the rules a little bit.
No bending of the rules. If anything, I gotta stick to the rules.
Okay.
So, like, we're $6,500 over payroll within the first 2 weeks of the month. That's insane.
How does that happen? Because if you're
it's a wild west.
Where are you getting this money to then fund?
It's the wild west. Hiring people with no plan. I don't want to talk too much about them because it's, you know, it is what it is. But that's causing me stress. I spent 6 hours doing a schedule yesterday. That's not how long it takes to do a schedule.
Damn. Is it because there's so many people?
Not only is there so many people, I don't know these people. I don't know whose strengths and weaknesses are what.
Right.
And I've only had 3 days to figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are. But the bright side is they have somebody in me who, I'm a people person. I will go in, I will figure you out. I will get to know your name even if I got to ask you 14 times.
Right.
But yeah, so the transfer is actually not going that bad.
I think it's still the beginning though, right?
It's the
like
beginning.
You're still trying to fill things out and just trying to understand like how you can better this environment for everybody.
But even like when it comes to us doing a podcast, our culture is very important. What we want to cultivate to our audience is very important. How our relationship with the studio and each other is very important. So we can't just go in and just want to automatically jump in and change.
That's how it was. Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, if shit got to get changed, shit got to get changed. Because
related to the podcast, though, not to cut you off, I just want to get this off.
She cut me off.
I know. I hate when I say that because I really be cutting people off. But in the beginning with us, especially if you go back and watch, I want to say the first 1 and 2 episodes of the pod, I think was dope. But the ones when we first started getting guests, it was a little shaky because now we're adding another person to something that we just started. So we're going to have to try to figure out, okay, when should we input ourselves in the conversation? When should we change conversation? It's like a bunch of stuff that we're trying to navigate through. And that's like a real life situation, especially when there's change.
And part of what makes me and Dana's chemistry, to me, awesome is we take social cues, physical cues. We're looking at each other. We're looking at the guests. We're making sure that we're not just jumping in. And don't get me wrong, every once in a while we will jump in. We will cut each other off. That's how she drives, so I expect it, right?
You gotta chill. But I do drive like. But hold on, because you just tried to play me. I drive aggressive and safe.
And I drive passive and safe. Because I don't know how Dana beat me here. I drive passive.
But you don't know what aggressive and safe means.
Aggressive means that I was literally supposed to get here in 36 minutes, and Dana was literally supposed to get
an hour
here.
Away.
Yeah, and she got here 15 minutes before me. I don't understand how that happens.
Because I drive in the faster lanes, which are towards the left.
You know, it's no such thing as a faster lane.
Yes, right? There is. Well, now
they're all the
on
same
the Parkway,
speed limit.
You gotta drive within the 55 mile range.
Personally, I think that's
I got pulled over. No,
I think that's every lane. You're supposed to drive the same speed.
They just put those up because I want to say a couple months ago you could do like 80 on the Parkway in any lane.
Okay,
and it was
please
good.
don't do that.
I'm not. I got a ticket before.
Yes, because it's illegal. But one thing that isn't illegal is following our coworkers, right? Personally, I don't do it.
You talking about real life coworkers?
Real life coworkers. I follow. If y'all follow us, we'll follow y'all. But like real life coworkers, nah,
no. I never felt comfortable with that. Just because, like working in office spaces, it's very political, right? People gossip, and you just never know who's cool with who and who's smiling in your face to get more information, and then going back to tell whoever that you don't fuck with. Like that's always how I viewed working in a office setting. And when it comes to following people on social media, let's say you do that. I had a friend who actually was very open to following their coworkers on social media because like they wanted to build that. They worked in sales too. So like in sales, you do a lot of like team building, you know, like networking. Team building events and stuff like that. So as you build these connections with people, just like naturally, you're like, oh, well, follow me on Instagram. So it got to a point where this person started traveling, and they're posting like traveling pictures, and then they're in a meeting with this said coworker that's following them. And my friend, they didn't want the company to know like they was traveling and what they was doing. So this coworker brought it up random as fuck in the meeting and was like, oh, I saw you went on vacation to this place. Like, how was it? Oh, I saw you guys were doing this. And it's like, we on a call with 10 other people that don't know my personal life. So for you to bring this up based off what you saw me doing in my personal life on social media, to me, is disrespectful.
You know what I blame that on? I blame that on these companies that like to give people remote jobs. Because a lot of people on remote jobs, they be remote.
They wasn't remote. Like,
I'm just saying,
working in sales, like they was outside, like going to different offices and whatnot.
They be outside, like literally after work and at work.
So for sales reps specifically, because I've known a lot of people who are sales reps in the pharmaceutical industry, where they kind of build their own schedule, number one. Then you also have to call the doctor's offices to see when it's okay for you to come into the office. So I would say with these kind of sales reps, because they are building their own schedule, it's like, all right, you'll do that for 2 days out the week. And then for the most part, as long as you're sending emails and you're on meetings and stuff, they can basically do whatever they want.
You don't think that that's problematic for corporations?
Why do you think it's problematic?
Because your time is not accountable. Like,
so for my job,
I'm just talking about the way that you mapped it out. I'm not necessarily talking about if you get every single detail. Because I think if you are hitting these sale goals, these monthly sale goals, or maybe or what is not extending, but you're going further than exceeding. Yes. So if you're doing that, what is the problem if you're doing your job? Like, nothing is affecting your job specifically. Yeah. So the thing about having a job is not solely on what benefits you. It's about what benefits this business, right? So if I'm giving you a job and I'm expecting you to do your job, if you can do even better than what you're doing, why would I want less than that?
So have you ever had a remote job?
I have.
And how'd you feel about it?
I was lazy. I took every bit of time to do the bare minimum to get my quota, to do what I'm supposed to do.
And then if I'm just saying, like, for everybody, I do believe it's different, because I've had conversations with, especially older people, where I wouldn't call them they're probably baby boomers, where they feel comfortable working in an office
because like, it keeps structure.
Feel for them, but you can't say for a millennial who. We've grown up in the times where we know how to like use computers to our benefit, right? Like, that's kind of how like ChatGPT came about, because
which is the cheat.
It's not.
Okay.
But anyway, my point is, when we grow up in an environment that we're so used to and we can navigate easier for our lives, and then it's like, I know people who've had like 2 remote jobs at a time because they know how to use their time at home, where they're working one job, everything is done for that. So they're like, oh, I have extra time, let me work this other job and make more money for themselves.
So that's called cheating the system. Now, I'm not knocking anybody. Capitalism is all about capitalizing, right?
I think it's for your best interest. And I feel like when it comes to corporate, like, if something happened to you today, they're going to replace you the next day. Of course. They're not asking like, oh my God, like, is everything okay? So you need to look out for yourself at the end of the day.
All right, let me ask you this real important question.
What?
Do you believe that jobs don't recognize that you are able to maximize multiple streams of income on their time? Do you believe that they don't know that?
I feel like they want to make sure that the job that you're hired for them is done.
No. I don't think that's what they do. Okay. I think what they want to do is maximize your labor for the amount of time that they're giving you labor for. That's what payroll is, right? So it works for like a retail job because I have to see you. if you're on a register, you can't go nowhere. If you're on
a different industry. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's different.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. So when you are working a remote job and I can't account for every second of your time, it's like, what are you doing? If you're
I've had bosses who have literally said, like,
yeah, because they don't know no better. Bosses is middle management.
No, because especially working in IT, most of our job is remote anyway. So my current boss and like other bosses that I've had in the past, it's like, I just want to make sure the work is done. Like, if you're working a salary job, no, they're not. Like, I think they want to make sure that you're doing your job that you were hired for. And if there's anything extra outside of that, to me, I feel like it's none of their business.
I think a lot of people work to not get fired versus working to optimize the business, right? So if all I need you to do is this so my job is intact, I don't really give a fuck what you do.
Because there's plenty of managers that I've seen, like, working in IT, like, as long as they have the people under them doing the work, like, they'll literally push off their work and assign it as a special project.
Yeah, because y'all got time.
No, it's not because you have time. It's because they don't want to do it. And because they are working remote and they know they have employees under them, they can kind of just dictate, all right, well, you do this, you do that, so that their plate is lighter. That doesn't necessarily mean, oh, they got so much work to do. They're kind of just like, well, I'm managing these people, so you're going to do as I say.
I think all that stems to is everybody is passing the buck, because there's so much work to do but not enough time to really need to do this work. Like, if I can get everything done in 6 of my 8 hours, why not? Instead of getting more done in 8 hours. I think that's the common conception of every worker out here that's working remote is, what can I do the quickest and get it done? Instead of, how can I maximize this 8 hours so that even tomorrow is easier? So there are no ducks.
Yes, I do that.
I don't know. I'm not saying you don't.
I'm telling you from my everyday job, where I know, and even managers, they know that your specific role, what you're doing, does not take the full 8 hours. So
which means that something needs to be corrected.
No, it's just it's usually like the dynamic of your job responsibilities, because certain jobs, they're not, especially the ones that are not manual labor jobs. Like, if it's solely like an office-based job where you're sending emails, you're scheduling meetings, you're working on a project around your own time, it's usually like when you feel most productive, so you can get the best quality out of what you're doing and you're presenting it. And usually that's when you don't feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah, me personally,
for me, I just want to get this point off. So for me, because I said that the stuff that I do doesn't take the full 8 hours, I look at my whole week, where it's like, all right, if I get this done today, XYZ done today, I know that the rest of the week is going to be lighter because of that. So I utilize the beginning of my weeks the most to do most of my work.
That's the benefit of me being a manager, where I can see a little bit of the scope of what the business's expectations are, right? So every hour of business I have allocated into, this is supposed to be for our truck, this is supposed to be for our customer service, this is supposed to be for our breakdown, this is supposed to be for our blah blah blah, right? At least that gives me, as a manager, my sense of relief to say, like, no, it's no wasted time. Payroll is the one expense that you can control, right? So if I know for a fact that you're not doing something for 2-3 hours, I'm gonna cut that.
I think it's your industry.
I don't
because
disagree.
It's a very fast-paced industry, and when I worked in healthcare, that's how healthcare is. Like, it's very fast-paced because you're dealing with like patient care behind the scenes. You're dealing with doctors. You're dealing with like coordinators, and a lot of the things is like, if you don't get this done, it's affecting patient care, and it's like a constant thing. So with my job specifically, because it is a smaller company where it's not like, it's international, like it's global, but we don't necessarily have that fast-paced environment where like, this needs to get done now. There's a deadline. Like, there are deadlines, but it's not like, if you take your time and do it at your own pace, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, my biggest fear is that they recognize what the pace is. If they recognize that the pace is 5 hours of work, even though I'm giving you 8, eventually it's going to dwindle down to 5 hours of work. So if I'm that company, I'm just going to schedule for 5 hours.
The issue with especially IT and the technology space is the introduction of AI. Like, we had a meeting this morning at my job, and we were saying like, how can we integrate AI more? Because we already have like the automation,
which would also make y'all work faster.
Right, but it's cutting jobs because
as it should, because of what we're talking about.
But that's where we're going though. Like, more companies is going to integrate Chat GPT and AI because they realize, if I can get this to do the job of someone that I have 10 people doing, I can cut my expenses and these salaries because I don't need to pay all these people to do something that's much cheaper. That's literally the only reason why a lot of companies are also moving to cloud.
Yes. Do you know what it is to be a sheep?
Explain it.
That means that you are essentially a sacrificial lamb in all of this, right? They are looking to see, what is the minimal amount of labor I can get before I have to rely on artificial intelligence.
I think every job is at this point. Like, everyone's job is like a ticking time bomb, because technology is literally like, I don't want to say it's taking over, but it's being integrated so fast in so many different ways behind the scenes that I want to say probably in like 5 to 10 years, the jobs that you think that, you know, are important is going to be replaced by AI. As
it should, because
like being a lash tech, like lash technicians, now they're having like fucking robots.
Is that weird?
I honestly would
Fuck
never
around
do
and pull
it.
your whole eyelash out.
Yeah, I would never do it. I get my lashes done like every 2 weeks.
Is that uncomfortable?
To get a person to do it?
Yeah. No, it looks very difficult.
I've gotten it done for like 2 years now.
Okay.
In a row, yeah.
I have perfect eyelashes. You know, my mother and my father, they did a great job on my chemistry. But speaking of uncomfortable, you know, because Marvin got me fucked up.
Let's talk about being an introvert and an extrovert. That's what I want to talk about. So for a long time, I've thought that I was an introvert.
Why? I'm asking you. That was a great question. Great question.
Because I feel like you're disagreeing. Ew. Okay.
Ew.
Halfway. The only reason why is because, and I think it was because my definition of being an introvert was always someone who enjoyed their alone time. And like, who, even when I go out, I don't have to be the center of attention. Like, I could literally go out, chill on the side, like, you know, do what I'm doing, and then go home. And that'll be fun. That's the same thing. That'll be fun to me. But this is my definition of being an introvert. And then an extrovert, to me, was the opposite. Someone who did have to be the life of the party, constantly need to be around people in order to feel validated. And I was like, I can't relate to that either. So as I got older, I kind of just like settled with an Omnivert, where I can do both depending on how I'm feeling. But I was having this conversation with my lash tech, Sam. Shout out to Sam, who is an introvert.
Made her very comfortable, by the way.
Yeah, and she was like, you're definitely not an introvert. And I was like, what you mean? And she was like, how with her, she literally has anxiety doing certain things because, you know, like, she has social anxiety, and that's what makes her an introvert. So I was like, oh, I don't really have that.
Well, I think part of understanding the definitions of the both of them is to not to take the extremes of the both of them, because that's what makes you fall into a bucket more so than actually being somewhat of either or. So for me, obviously, I'm an extrovert, right? I have a certain energy. I have a certain pizzazz and personality. You definitely
got to be the life of the party.
I don't have to be the life of the party.
You always are.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But I'm never like reserved. I'm always, you know, up.
And that's the thing. Like, I can be reserved, but again, it's depending on how I feel.
But I'm also able to be introverted. I'm also able to be omniverted. I'm also able to just not give a fuck.
So which one do you relate to more?
Personally, it depends on where I'm at. I'm more of a chameleon of sort, right? I can go to any space and I can be anything. Like, I can really, like, you know what? This is not really my crowd. So that's how I feel. You know, I'm gonna sit back. You know, I'm gonna absorb and I'm gonna observe. But most of the times, I try to just be comfortable, and I try to make other people comfortable.
How do you think people see you?
I think people see me as an extrovert because I'm always trying to make everyone else get up. I'm always trying to make everyone else have a great time. I'm never trying to make people uncomfortable, and I think that's what makes me a positive extrovert, right? I don't make people uncomfortable with my excitement and exuberance, but I think people can.
I think people see me as an extrovert, which I was surprised.
No, I don't see you as an extrovert.
Okay, but I've talked to people and they was like, yeah, you're not an introvert. Even my family, they're like, because I have a very like someone who just always wants to network and talk to different kind of people and be a part of different organizations, join different courses where you're connecting with other people as well. They're like, that's not an introvert at all. Like, I look for different ways I can connect.
I'm personally a little bit more introverted with environments that not necessarily I'm not uncomfortable with, but environments that I want to reserve space for others, right? So like in my family, I can be both, but for the most part, I'm really introverted. I'm observing. I want to see what y'all want to do, and I follow that like energy. You can't always just go into every single situation with a whole bunch of fucking energy. Yeah. Like you could be a lot.
I don't be on 10 either. Especially when I'm talking to people, like, I'm usually comfortable at my level.
Like a 7.
Yeah, it's like a 7, like real, just like chill, but like also not doing too little to where you don't want to have a conversation with me. But I do feel like if you have a podcast or any type of platform where you are putting out content, you are an extrovert in some way because you are sharing your creativity with people. I mentioned probably in the beginning when we first started, whenever I say I have a podcast, people are always like, oh, I want to start a podcast, I want to start a YouTube channel, and they never do it because they never feel comfortable within themselves to be like, all right, I want to put this out regardless if I'm going to get judged. Because one thing about having any kind of platform, people are going to talk shit, they're going to judge whatever you put out. So that's just something that comes along with it that you have to get comfortable with. And I feel like that is a number one fear for people, is like, oh my God, I don't want to be talked about, I don't want people to say like my stuff is bad, because that does also affect the self-esteem.
I do believe it's important to talk about the 4 different types of introverts, right?
That you just Googled.
I did just Google it because I'm quick
let's
with
not act like you just knew that.
Man, I knew that. So we do have social introverts.
Okay.
Where I'm in a party. This is more me, right? I'm in a party, gotta kind of chill. Like I don't know everybody. I want to get a little comfortable.
You gotta read the room.
We also have thinking introverts, which I think Dana is more of a thinking introvert, right? Where she's a daydreamer. She's constantly in her thoughts, trying to better her life, better situations, always thinking about things that are positive. And it could be negative, but I don't think that's Dana, right? And then we have anxious introverts, people who just can't get over their social anxiety, like your last
I felt like there were different levels to it. Because to just say you are an introvert, like, that's such a broad thing to put everything under, that there are different versions of what that looks like. So I like that you looked that up. And
then the last version of an introvert is the one I think we all are a little bit more accustomed to. It's the like restrained version, right? Where it's like, I want to say something, but I don't. Like I want to.
It depends on the situation and environment that you're in.
But then we have an omnivert, who is a person who experiences extreme introversion and extroversion. I don't think I'm necessarily an omnivert because I'm closer to the extroverted side, but I do think a lot of us feature that. A lot of people are honestly omniverts because it's all a situational thing.
It's very interchangeable, and for me, it's not necessarily an extreme introvert or extreme extrovert. Like, it's usually a bit of each one, but because, like you said, being a chameleon, where it depends on like where you're at in the environment, and if it requires you to be more talkative, and especially if you're networking or if you're in your own space and now you're thinking about your life and you're doing a lot of reflecting, that does take a level of being an introvert.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it just depends on like where things are at in your life.
And I think it's important to recognize if you are capable of doing either of these things, right? I have a lot of friends, not trying to like boost me or anything, but friends that can be in different spaces, in different intellectual spaces, in different social spaces, in different occupational spaces, right? So you got to know how to talk to different people in different environments, and every environment does not require you to be an extrovert.
But let me ask you this, because I did recently watch a YouTube episode of someone who I'm not going to mention because I don't want to seem like a groupie, like I said before. But
coronavirus
21 No, that's my
Can you stop?
Sorry, my bad.
Stop trying to guess.
Oh, I didn't guess. I know the answer.
Okay, good. Don't say it. But they were saying how one of the positive influences in their life was their father. And and their father could be in different rooms and still be himself, like still be down to earth or still be the authentic self and version of himself without changing who he was, but still get his point across. So I think that's dope because when we do talk about like code switching, right? And you feeling like, all right, I gotta be more like this person for them to relate to me and understand what I'm explaining, rather than let me still be myself and like talk as if I would talk to anybody, and if they relate, great. If not, then fuck it. Like, it wasn't necessarily for them to relate with.
Authenticity is very important, right? You cannot fake you cannot fake authenticity, right? So even if I am, like I said, that loudest person in the room or the quietest person in the room, if my influence is my influence, I'm going to be all right. Like his father, whoever that individual is, he maintained the sense of influence. Yeah. Right? He maintained that, you know who I am regardless of how loud I am. That's something important that people need to recognize. Like,
people gravitate towards that. Yeah. Like, they literally can feel that. And I feel like I'm that person at work, which is why where my desk is and all of that shit is done very meticulously, because I can't talk to anybody. Like, I can't talk to the C-suite people, the different departments, and still be myself and be helpful for them and have them understand, like, all right, we're doing this with your account, but still be relatable and still be friendly. So,
and I think it's important what you said is to be helpful, friendly, relatable. Like, those are listening aspects, right? I don't need you to be able to talk to everybody. I need you to be able to listen to everybody. Right. So that way, when I do speak, you understand where I'm coming from. You recognize that I have gravitas in the words that I speak, because everything that I say is related to what you say. Listening is more important than how loud or how quiet you are in these rooms.
And if you're just responding just to respond, there's a lot of people like that too.
And that's why it's important to read that room, right? It's important to recognize, like, just because you are whoever you are doesn't mean that you need to be heard. Like, if you Barack Obama and you walk into a space, that doesn't mean, yeah, sure, everybody wants to listen to you, but how important do you think it'll be if you just lent your ear?
I think that's another reason why a lot of people gravitated to Barack Obama, was because of how he spoke to people. Like, it was very endearing. It was because like, they felt like he was listening to their needs, and he may not have been able to get everything done, but it seemed very sincere and very genuine. So,
and that's important. Like, sincerity. Like, I don't think we use that word enough. Like, we try to think about the way that people talk to us and listen to us, but how real do we feel like these emotions are? Like, if you make me feel like everything that I said to you is valued, I'll do anything for you.
It's your tone of voice, right? Like, it's also,
that's why, like, I always give my sweet,
people.
Sexy tone of voice.
That's why you try to start real, like, smooth and soft.
Was that this episode?
That was this episode. Don't even remember. But yeah, I mean, like, sincerity goes a long way, and especially for me, I could pick that shit up like the first conversation that I have with somebody.
All right, let's make it deep. First conversation that we had in real life. Did you think I was sincere?
You know my memory is bad.
All right, I think it was sincere. Because
what was the conversation?
We talked on some online shit, but when we first had our first real interaction, I do think it was sincere because I was honest with you.
Let's talk about the first conversation we had about the podcast, right? Like, I think what I got from explaining to you my vision of starting this and the purpose of it, like, one thing that I did really like was you didn't really, like, try to put it down. It was like, well, how is this gonna work? Are you sure? Like, you didn't question shit.
You got me in a good mood because I'm usually the opposite. Okay. I'm usually the opposite.
Yeah, but you was, like, listening. You was attentive. You was like, okay, all right. I think you brought a fucking notebook to brunch too, right? Like, you was ready to just take notes and just even if in that moment you were like, yeah, nah, this shit sound crazy.
I'm actually going to reference.
You didn't say that.
I'm going to reference the last episode a little bit.
Okay.
Because while it was a struggle to get to, I do believe that understanding how to leverage certain things into what you think could actually work for you was important, right? So a lot of people bring businesses to me and we're like, oh, we should do this and we should do that. But it's like, is that going to work for me? Meanwhile, you talked about something that I actually value. I like talking. Like,
we know.
I like,
you're a people person.
I like having conversations and engagement and different things like that. And it's like, you're bringing something to me, and I know you got something already established.
Yeah, because I have my own podcast at that point.
So it's like, we've done it before. We had a good chemistry on us doing it. So it's like, wait, this might work. Like, regardless of if it's not popping off in the first episode or the 50th episode, it's like, it might work.
It might work, but I think because when we talk about the sincerity, like the conversations that we're having with you guys, these are conversations that we would have if there wasn't cameras here, right? Like, these are actual like conversations that we would have on the regular, where we're talking about either friendships, relationships, or what's going on at work. And it just made sense to bring it to a podcast and a platform, because I'm big on, like, everyone should have a platform. Just
regardless of what y'all motherfuckers say.
Right, because you never truly know who can relate to your experiences and who can take what you're saying and apply it to their lives. So you shouldn't, like, just because you don't agree, you shouldn't knock down what that person is giving out, because you're like, oh no, the people in the fucking comments that we get, they're like, oh no, that's not right, or this is, like, they literally try to make it seem like we're delusional. Like, these are our fucking experiences.
And the beautiful thing about what Dana is saying is how true it is. Like, it gets to a point where we would meet a guest for our first time, or she would be friends with a guest, or I would be friends with a guest.
Most of these people we're meeting for the first time. At least I am.
And we gotta stop talking to them, because we're like, wait, this is good conversation. This is something that I would love to talk about in front of people, whether y'all like it or not.
We want that authenticity. We want that first conversation, so it feels like organic. It's not scripted and like, oh, they like rehearsed this. They went over this conversation. It's like, no, on our outline we'll have the topic, and then from that topic it'll kind of just guide us through like how we want to have the conversation. And
even to the point where we're after the show. A lot of y'all don't see what we do after we get done recording. We keep the conversation going, whether it's with us or with Marvin or just in the back with anybody who's recording a podcast out here. We're not just recording a show. We are living a show. Like, this is what we do. We have conversations with people, and we really try to like maximize whatever it is that they want to get out in that little bit of conversation that they have, whether they're introverts or extroverts, or they're omniverts, or they're introverts, or I don't know, verticals, or I don't give a fuck. See, she could be funny too. I be telling y'all she funny.
I'm fucking hilarious.
Yo, she's like, hilarious.
I be having guys literally cry laughing.
Girls too.
Yeah, but they be thinking I'm joking. I be dead ass of what I'm saying.
Yo, when I tell you, me and Dana, we talk a lot. And she's so unintentionally funny. Like, I think that's her humor. I don't think her humor is on purpose. Like, I think I'm a little bit more. I had my aunt dying on the phone yesterday because we were talking about the smog and stuff, because she lives in Arizona. I'm about to say that's probably why she was dying on the phone, but never mind. Continue.
No, like laughing. She lives in Arizona, but I said something. I was like, oh, because I told her how I'm in my course, right? Like, I'm learning the stock market and things of those sorts to make an extra income, and she's doing the same, but like for like, what is it, affiliate marketing and stuff along those lines. So I was like, when we finally start to try to make some extra money and like get out of poverty, now the world is ending. So she thought it was so funny. And
we gonna fly Aaron to Arizona, you know.
Yeah.
But bright side, she would think that it looks just like Arizona in New York right now, because it's orange.
No, Arizona don't look like
it's not orange in Arizona.
The canyons are, but the skies are always blue.
It's blue in the sky, but
the canyons are always like orange, but the sky is always like a beautiful like light blue, like my nails.
Well, when we go outside in the summer, we gonna go to Vegas, and we gonna go to Arizona.
I'm dead ass about Vegas. Like, I've always wanted to go to Vegas.
It's nice. There's a lot of walking.
You went when it was cold, right?
I went 2 times. It wasn't necessarily cold, but it wasn't hot. When I went in January, and then that's a funny story. I'm gonna tell you in a minute. And then we went in April. It was a little warm during the day. Like, it get hot, but at night you could wear a jacket.
Okay.
But speaking of coworkers following us on Instagram, I went in the pandemic. So that's when they had travel restrictions and all that shit.
Why would you go to Vegas in the pandemic?
You didn't have to wear a mask, so it was still cool to go to Vegas.
Okay.
So if I went to Vegas, I was supposed to miss an extra week of work, but not get paid for it. So because I'm an asshole, I didn't tell them that I didn't tell them I went to Vegas. I told them I was going.
And you had a coworker on your Instagram.
No. I didn't follow no coworkers, so nobody knew I actually went to Vegas. I didn't post no pictures or anything, and I don't want nobody on my shit. Like,
because they be watching.
Because they has travel restrictions, and it was all about COVID. And I'm not about to miss a paycheck because I went to Vegas. Like, I'm still gonna go to Vegas. I just told them I went to Pennsylvania because it was a neighboring state.
Right.
And neighboring states you can visit for however long without a COVID restriction.
Okay.
But I wasn't about to fucking miss a paycheck.
So what happened with the coworker?
What happened? I didn't follow no coworkers.
Oh.
My first coworker that I've ever followed is actually following me now. But he works at the store that I don't work at.
That's funny
anymore.
You said that. Same. Me too. Like, the first coworker that I ever felt comfortable giving them my social media. Like, I call him my cousin too.
Well, he...
So,
I'm glad Marvin missed my face because I just gave her the evilest fucking look in the world.
Yeah, whenever I feel like comfortable with somebody who, like, we're good friends, like, I literally say, you're like, because for me, my friends do turn into family, right? Like, because
that's how I became a cousin.
Yeah, like, because of the conversations, like the sincerity, like we said. To me, like, that's how I view family. Like, that equals family to me. Like, we don't necessarily have to be bonded by blood, but that equals family.
I'm literally the same way, and that's how, because I told y'all 2 weeks ago that I follow my gay coworkers, right?
Your queer peers.
My queer peers. Now, granted, it's not simply because, oh, you're gay, I'm just gonna follow you because, you know, no, it's like we really endear to each other. We're able to have real conversations, not just because they're gay, right? That's how I understood that, yo, y'all are real fucking people. Not that gay people aren't real people, by the way, I'm not trying to say that. But you are a real fucking person, and I love you as a brother. Right. And that's super important that I think a lot more straight individuals need to start recognizing is, like, embrace your queer peers.
I wouldn't say it's just straight people. I think it's closed-minded people. Like we said, closed-mindedness in the last 2 episodes ago. So I don't think it's like a set group. It's more so like the people who are just so stuck in their own view of the world and can't see no one else's point of view. And I call that ignorant, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to call it ignorant because ignorant has a specific definition, and we don't do words without specific definitions. I got Google on my phone.
Fuck all that. It's ignorant.
But if you are not ignorant and you want to join this podcast, we have one way that you can come and support us, and that's by reaching out to our pod Gmail at woawpod@gmail.com, where you can come into this middle seat and I will move over a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can send us any questions, comments, or concerns, because clearly y'all ain't concerned with us because we so fucking perfect.
What?
Are we not perfect?
I'm not perfect.
I'm a pinch away.
Okay.
You know, that's one of my best pickup lines.
Is what?
You a pinch away from perfect. Yo, girls be like, oh, really?
Do they really fall for your shenanigans?
Yeah, because it's... Anyway.
Like, I've never had someone, like, come up to me with that kind of energy. And maybe because I kind of give off, like, don't come at me with that shit, because I'm not going to
Pickup lines work.
It depends if you're cute.
No.
It does.
It works when you are able to be laughed at. Right? When men think themselves are too serious, pickup line ain't gonna work. They're
usually not the ones that's
you
gonna
find it's a speck of dust in the maid's house, baby. See, that didn't work. But if I'll be like,
that wasn't even a good one, though.
That's my best line.
How to be asking?
Oh, really? A speck of dust in the maid's house? Oh.
What does that mean?
Because she clean.
Oh, in the maid's house.
See?
Okay. I didn't even. I think it's a maid's
because
house.
she's not listening to me, because she's not attracted to me.
Right.
She don't think of stuff like that. But if you was attracted to me, she'd be like, "Ooh, a speck of dust in a whole maid's house and they clean." Oh,
I don't think like that when my cousin is trying to.
Which is fine, and that's understood. But with that being said,
we outside and we out
cleaning up all the specks and dust in the maid's house.